Sebastian in England is asking about something we've kind of been talking a little bit about internally that I know we're still wrestling with, but it seems that with We Are Church, certain people are made pastors, but what about apostles and prophets and evangelists and teachers? Do people get given those titles too? Why or why not? And then also like how do we empower them?
That's cool. We've just been talking about that as elders this week. And this largely comes from my time in Hong Kong and having to send the church out, realizing, okay, I'm seeing more clearly. This is an area I think we screwed up in when we started the church. We pretty much had elders and pastors, period. And so we kind of cram people into this one position of pastor. And a lot of that was my upbringing. This is the way I was taught. I was taught there's no such thing as apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers. Is just everyone's a pastor, elder. And some of that came out of the abuses we saw in certain churches when people were like, I am apostle, Jeremiah the third, okay? And so it's just kind of like this power thing of this capital A apostle that everyone's got to come under versus, just the power of an apostolic gift and a prophetic gift. That's why when people began to even use that word for me is, wow, I think he's like a prophet. I'd be like, no, they don't exist. I'm a pastor. Now I'm going, yeah, maybe I am kind of a little bit of a prophet, like maybe there is this gift. And even at We Are Church, I so wanted to get out of the way that I didn't want to use my gifts and go, no, because I've seen what happens. Everyone will just rely on my gifts. So I'm not doing anything. And now in hindsight, I'm going, no, I think there's something the Lord does through me when I gather the troops together and fire them up, and maybe gives me a vision that's different. And then there's certain people that just know the scriptures a lot better than I do, and they're better teachers, and that gift needs to be spread throughout the churches, and we need to figure out a way. Because I said, I was telling them yesterday, coming from Hong Kong and, Asian parents, like you pretty much tell your kid what to do. Like you are going to be a doctor or you're going to bring shame to my family. I see our buddy from Malaysia laughing. He knows what I'm talking about. It's like, this is who you are. And I go, gosh, I feel a little bit like Asian parents, with our church. You will be the shepherd. That's all we raise here. And it's like, I want to be an artist, it's like, no, we don't draw. We're Chinese. It's almost like we did some of that in the church. And yet I don't want to make it, there is a guidance, there's an element, just like we don't want to swing it all the other way to an American parent that says, sure, you can be a professional gamer. Everyone can. No, there's some guidance, and no, let's just have a backup plan too. And how do we do that and make it fun? Like the life of there'll be people that are going to be, more in the prophetic, and they'll be, more, weirder and this and that. And we'll have to temper them, but let's not quench that spirit. These guys will be more evangelistic, and they're going to try some things that, I think you went too far, too many F-bombs sharing the gospel, but don't lose that passion. Don't lose that effing passion, just like temper it, slow it down. How do we do that? And so I think you're absolutely right. I think we didn't quite nail it. And we just kind of made it too cookie cutter. And in my mind, when I started, I just thought every single person could be a pastor. And I'm looking back and, then I went back on that. I go, well, everyone should make disciples, but maybe not everyone should be a pastor. But if you're going to be anything, you're going to be a pastor. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I screwed that up too. Some of you guys should be pastors. A lot of you guys could be pastors, but I think I blew it. Some of you guys have a gift, an evangelistic gift, and we were just too paranoid about you not being qualified to be a shepherd when maybe you could have been an evangelist, and we just made you wait too long because you weren't qualified to be an elder. Doesn't mean you can't go out and be sharing the gospel and try something crazy at your workplace. Just do it, and figure that out along the way. But I don't think, at this point, we haven't given people labels, because I am not convinced that, I actually wrote a paper when I was in seminary about the gifts and going, man, how come the list in Ephesians is so different from the one in Romans and so different from the one in First Corinthians? If there were just an exact number of gifts and it could be just clearly delineated, why wouldn't they all have the same list? But it just seems like there really is a variety in the body, and we've got to figure that out. And that may change in time, but we can use these things as somewhat of a template and go, gosh, it seems like back then there were people that had this apostolic gift and they were just the sent ones, and they could go and they could start things and pioneer things. This gift of the evangelist that was a blessing, a gift to the body. It just seems like, no, there was that one guy. They didn't really say his name, I don't believe. Oh, maybe they did, but he was famous for preaching the gospel. I forgot what passage that was in. I go, that's really weird. This one guy that they were going to take along with him because he was well known for just preaching the gospel well. And in my head, I'm thinking anyone could preach the gospel. And it's like, no, even back then there was this gift of this evangelist. But that doesn't mean it's exactly the same way now. And that if you're an apostle, you can't have prophetic gifts. So let's not like kind of cookie cutter again. Let's just find out those people with those gifts that are for the larger body and use it. And it's okay to say, like, I believe Sean has more of a teaching gift than I do. I don't really like teaching. He really does. He thinks through all the angles. I like to just say whatever comes out of my head at that moment and see how it goes. I don't want to think through all the objections ahead of time. And so so he's a better teacher. He thinks things through better. And it's like, wow, okay, but am I going to just label him? Okay, Teacher Sean, I'm Prophet Francis. There's, Pastor Robert. It can just get weird with labels. And so at this point, we're at this point where we're saying, I just saw someone change their name to Apostle Jeremiah III on screen. Good job. At this point, we're not labeling people, but I think we're just going to work at finding people's giftings. Just like my kids, man, I'm trying to figure out what each one is meant to be. And I love them and I want them to excel in their way. And there's no way I'm going to make them all accountants, even though some Asian parents would. I'm just going, no, they're so unique and I love it. And I want to help them find it. And I said, and I told the elders, sometimes we lean on the side of squashing people because we see them sinning in a certain area. And there needs to be a lot more like, I need you, we need you, we need you. You have such an amazing gift. You got to keep going down this road. But there's this little thing, like, I don't feel like we do that. It's like, whoa, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. And, but yeah, you admit you have this gift. Like, let's turn that completely the other way and just be super encouragers of God's gifting in these areas. But part of our job is to see those sinful areas and address them appropriately.